All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, a month ago, there were not too many people that were willing to put a ton of stock in either the San Diego Padres or Philadelphia Phillies advancing to the National League Championship Series. But here we are. Both the Phillies and Padres limped into the postseason, but now one of these teams is just 4 wins away from advancing to the World Series. Now, the Padres come into the LCS with plenty of momentum. They just knocked off a pair of 100-win teams to open their postseason run, which included slaying the dragon that is the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NLDS. Now, you look at Bob Melvin and his first year with the Padres, and he's gone out there and he's been pushing all the right buttons so far this October. Manny Machado is swinging a hot bat. Austin Nola, Jerks, and Profar stepped up in this lineup. You Darvish is pitching like the phenom that he was when he first came to the States. Joe Musgrove has been very solid for the Padres, highlighted by that 7 inning dominant performance to close out the Mets in the wild card round. And then, the Blake Snell factor. But for me, looking at the series from the Padres standpoint, Juan Soto really hasn't had a good year so far. And at some point, you have to figure that it's going to come together for him. He's too talented of a player. Maybe this series right here is when Soto gets it going. A ton of familiarity between Soto and the Phillies, especially due to the fact that Soto began his career as a member of the Washington Nationals. The Nats and the Phillies play each other 19 times a year as division rivals. And then also Josh Bell. Josh Bell, had a couple of big hits during the series with the Mets, cooled off against the Dodgers, but at some point he's a big bat, and I expect him to potentially have an impact in this series for the Padres as well. I talked about you, Darvish. He's doing a good job of locating in this postseason run for San Diego. Also getting ahead of counts, and that is always a big thing for a pitcher. Joe Musgrove has been solid, but then Blake Snell is going to have a big time impact in this series if San Diego is going to win. And I say that because you look at all of those lefty bats that the Phillies have, most notably Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper. It's going to be imperative for Snell to be on top of his game going up against those lights, especially if he's going to get the ball at some point when this series shifts to Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. Now, the bullpen, and most notably Josh Hader, was a question mark for San Diego coming into this playoff format. They've been on point. They've been dominating. We've seen them. We saw them real good against the Mets, and even better against the Dodgers, which is a big reason why San Diego is still balling out right now. Now, on the flip side for Philadelphia, Rob Thompson is pushing all of the right buttons for this Phillies team, and Bryce Harper. Say what you want. Bryce Harper finally got out or won a playoff series, and now he's done it twice. You think about Bryce Harper for all of those years with the Washington Nationals consistently being one and done in the postseason. And then, of course, the year that Harper leaves DC to go to Philadelphia, that's when Washington won it all. I'll say this: when Washington was one and done, it wasn't because Harper wasn't producing, because he was going out there for the most part in those divisional series losses for the Nats, and he was swinging a very hot bat. But now Harper continues to swing a hot bat because he's a big time player who wants to be on the big stage, and we've seen that through this postseason run. And for the Phillies to advance, I think number 30, pardon me, number three, thinking about his days with Washington, he's going to have to keep it going. Now, aside from him, Gene Segura has been solid at the plate all year long for the Phillies. Kyle Schwarber, I talked about the Schwarber factor. He's not going to hit for average, but he can put some. He has a lot of jolt, if you will, in that bat when he gets a hold of one. Reese Hoskins and then JT Realmuto as well. But for me, I look at the big thing. For me, one thing is the Phillies defense. Also is their bullpen, because this was a huge question mark coming into the playoffs for Philadelphia, and they've been lights out. We saw them shut down St. Louis, and then the same thing can be said in the LDS against the Braves. And then you look at this Phillies pitching staff as well, with Aaron Nola, and then you got Zach Wheeler. What's he going to give the Phillies in this series, and especially a guy like Noah Syndergaard? What can he do? So it's going to be Wheeler against Darvish tomorrow, and of course, Petco is going to be electric. Naturally, Philadelphia wants to go out there and steal one of these games on the West Coast and bring it back to the East, at least 1-1 in their favor. You look at the big question coming into the series: which team has the edge? And for me, it's a toss up because you figure both the Padres and Phillies came into this postseason playing with house money. There was nothing expected from either one of these teams, but here they are. And when it's all said and done in about a week or so, one of these teams is going to be representing the National League in the Fall Classic. That's how the baseball playoffs are. You just never know. I look at it, Petco is going to be rocking. Citizens Bank is going to be rocking as well. It's going to be one of those series. I think, pitching is going to be at a premium. Also, which team is going to be able to wreak havoc on the other bullpen first? And I think it comes down to which team finds a way to blink. This right here is a classic toss up. If there was ever the term for a baseball playoff series, it's going to be interesting to see who makes the mistakes, which teams capitalize on them, and move forward. At the end of the day, it's a toss up, but I'm going to give San Diego the slight edge. This is a franchise that has never lost in the LCS. They've only made it twice, but in 84 and 98. 84, they beat the Cubs. 98, they beat the Braves. So let's see if that holds true. But nonetheless, I am going to take San Diego to win the pennant in 7 games. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.